Welcome back, everyone, to the BGF Podcast. I'm your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
And today we got the NFC South for you guys. Let's get right into it.
First off, we're going to start off with the division winners last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, let's...
What do you think about the Bucs roster this season going in without TB12, baby?
This is a team that is going to be very hard to predict. I could see them probably being a 500 team. I heard so far Baker Mayfield in practice hasn't looked good. I said, what did I see? 6 picks and I saw something with that he threw 6 picks in a practice or something like that.
I mean, he's the former first overall pick. He's got to be good.
Yeah, it's not looking too promising for Tampa. I think they'll probably anyway. I think even the fact that he's in a quarterback competition with Kyle Trask is also quite sad for him.
First overall pick, baby. Ex-Cleveland boy.
Yeah, I'm expecting a 500 team. I don't think they're going to win this division, but let's start. Maybe they will. Let's see.
I'm honestly expecting the Bucs to fall off. I don't think they're going to finish 8-9 like they did last year.
Damn, they were 8-9 even with Brady.
They were 8-9 and made the playoffs.
This division is really bad.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they're going to fall off. They don't have a quarterback. Between Baker and Kyle Trask, yes, they have a good team. I like their roster a lot. It's just their quarterback play is going to be very, very bad. Unless Baker decides to rejuvenate his career out here.
I'm not expecting too much.
Not expecting that either, so I mean, we'll see. But
there's no way Kyle Trask starts. That's all I know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Anyways, let's get right into the schedule.
Anyway, week 1, they go to U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota to face the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to give them a loss here. We've already went over this game before.
Yeah, we went over this one. I gave Minnesota the win, so Bucs lose.
0-1 to start off the year. Then we move on to week 2, another NFC North team
matchup
against the Chicago Bears at Raymond James Stadium. I'm going to give them a win here against the Bears. Not expecting a big season from the Bears, and when we did go over this game, I gave them the win, so
yeah,
1-1 for me.
Same here. Then week 3, you go down to Lincoln Financial, and you play the Philadelphia. No, sorry.
I was gonna say this is
sorry.
at home.
My bad. You host the Philadelphia Eagles, primetime Monday nighter.
Don't know why this is a primetime game.
Maybe if Tom Brady was here, maybe, but like he's not. Philadelphia just made it to the Super Bowl. This team's gonna be a little too much for the Bucs. I see them dropping this one.
I agree.
Moving on to 1-2 on the year.
1-2 on the year for them. Next up, their first divisional game against the New Orleans Saints, a very tough opposition at New Orleans. So I'm gonna give New Orleans the win here, and so Tampa's gonna take a loss again and go to 1-3 on the year.
I also agree. I see them splitting with pretty much everyone in the division.
Probably.
I think everyone is going to split in this division.
I think that's pretty safe, honestly.
Yeah, and so I'm going to give them the loss here just because they're away.
And they get the early bye, which is not something I'm sure they want. At 1-3 especially. So now 1-3 going into a game against the Lions at home. What do you think on this one? 'Cause I'm not 100% sure what I'd put on this.
I remember giving the Lions the win here. I'm going to give them a loss. Moving them to 1-4 on the year for me. Obviously, early bye. Maybe they're rested. Maybe they play the Lions hard. I just think this Lions roster is young and up and coming, and they're going to be a little too much for the Bucs to handle. And moving on to 1-4 on the year for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. 1-4 on the year for Tampa. Not too great. Then the week after, they play another divisional game against the Atlanta Falcons at home. And this is a game where... because it's at home, like we said, it's probably going to split the division. I'll give them a win here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to give them a win here.
2-4 on the year. And then week 8, another very tough game at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. What date is this? It's probably going to be
Thursday nighter.
A Thursday night primetime game.
Playing Sunday to Thursday, there's a little rest. You're coming off a win against a division rival.
I think there's not a chance they win this game. 2-5. Bills smack them.
I would have to agree. I think there's going to be a loss here. And then you move on. Week 9, you go down to Houston. You play the Texans Sunday afternoon. This is going to be a bounce back game for me. I'm going to give the Bucs a win here.
I agree as well. So far we are
literally spot on.
We both have the exact same
schedule. Yeah.
Then week 10, I think they're going to win another game here against Tennessee. Or actually, I'll take that back. I'm not too sure yet. What do you think? I need some time on
I
this.
think the Bucs are going to beat the Titans here. They're coming off a pretty hard stretch, and I think that they're going to bounce back. It's 3-5. They're going to try to make it back to 500. Team's going to play tough. It's going to be a tough game against Tennessee. It won't be easy. But I do see the Bucs edging the Titans here, moving on to 4-5.
Yeah, I'm going to go back on what I said. I'm going to give them a loss here. I think Tennessee is still... I think people are just expecting them to not be as good now. But with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, with Derrick Henry still being there, their defense being alright still with guys like Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard.
Must have one hell of a good head coach.
And yeah, Mike Vrabel, obviously a very good head coach. I think they're definitely a better roster than Tampa. So I think they could come into Tampa and take a win.
Yeah, I don't hate that take. But yeah, anyways, moving on. After week 10.
Loss.
You're going down to Frisco, baby. Sunday afternoon game.
At Levi's, no way.
At
Last year with
Levi's.
Brady, they got destroyed by Brock Purdy and like one of his first career starts. So.
As Brandon said, they got destroyed with Brady, so they don't have Brady. They have Baker, and I just don't think this team is gonna hold a candle to San Fran, if I'm being honest.
Next up, they're playing that division a lot here. Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. Lost it, man. This is... I thought they would be like a 500 team, but from the looks of the schedule...
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, especially coming off a game against Frisco. We know how tough San Fran plays teams. So they're going to be very, very beat up. And they're going to go against Indy. Indy is an interesting team this year. I really don't know what to expect from them. But I do like the pieces they have. Especially this late in the season, I think Anthony Richardson, is going to have had time to make the mistakes and hopefully adjust his game. And I think week 12 here, Indy is going to be pretty good and rolling. And I'm going to give them a loss here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think Anthony Richardson should be rolling by this time of the year and be playing at his best. Plus, they still got guys like Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, I'm hoping could have an impact this year. We'll see if Jonathan Taylor's still in the fold for Indy by this time of the year, but I think Indy should be able to pull this out. I'm not sure if I gave them the loss already, so what's your record for them?
I got them sitting at 4-7.
Okay, I have them at 3-8, so yeah, I did give them the loss so far. So now they move on to another divisional game at Raymond James Stadium. This is going to be a win for me here against Carolina.
I agree. I think they're going to split with everyone in the division. So
plus, it's the home game, I'll give them the win here. So 4-8 on the year.
Week 14, you're going down to Atlanta. I said they take the win earlier, so I'm going to give them a loss here.
Same here. So 4-9 on the year. 4-8 for Tampa. Then next up, they go to Lambeau Field, a very hard place to go against a good Green Bay defense.
Especially this late in the year. There's going to be a very snowy football field.
Just tough conditions. A tough team in Green Bay, a tough defense that's going to be ready to go. And I think Green Bay could beat them very easily.
I don't think it's going to be that easily, but I do think the field is going to play huge into this game, especially considering where Tampa's located. Seeing snow for the first time all year, most of these players. And I think it's going to be a little too much for Tampa and move on to 5-9.
For me, 4-10. Next up, they play the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, another Florida-based team. And I'm going to give them a loss here. I'm expecting big things from Jacksonville this year. Expecting them to be definitely winning their division and possibly be contenders in the AFC. So.
Yeah, I think this Jags team is going to be a little too much to handle, especially this late on in the year. They're going to be really locked in on the playoffs and playing at an elite level. And I don't think the Bucs are going to really have a chance unless their division's really tight. Maybe I can make a case for this game, but I don't see it. I think the Jags take this.
I agree. Now next up, Week 17, divisional game against New Orleans. And I think I said I was going to give them a split, but I think at this point, 4-11 on the year, I think the team's going to be out of it, to be honest. I don't think they're going to be... the season's almost over. They're ready to go home and they're ready for the offseason. I think New Orleans is going to be battling to make the playoffs, so I think New Orleans is going to take this one and move Tampa to 4-12.
No, I think I'm going to just stick with what I said and split everywhere. Whenever they host division rivals, I'll give them the win. So I'm going to edge them here against the Saints. I think they're going to want to make the Saints not make the playoffs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're going to edge them here on New Year's Eve.
Oh, sure, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and then Jags are Christmas Eve, and I was like, wait, as I'm reading this, oh, wait. Yeah, then week 18, you move down to Carolina. Like I said here, I'm just literally splitting the whole division, so they're going to take a loss here.
And for me, they are 4-13 on the year, one of the worst teams in the NFL, and puts them in prime position to grab one of those good quarterback prospects.
Imagine bouncing from Tom Brady to Caleb Williams. That would be pretty wild.
That would be very nice for them.
Especially if Caleb Williams pans out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I got them sitting at 6-11 before I forget. So
they're going to be one of those
bottom feeders.
Yeah. 4-13 for me probably puts them at the bottom of the division. Next up, we're going to go over the team that finished second in the division last year, the Carolina Panthers. They were a 7-10 football team last year. What do you think for this year for them?
I don't know. I mean, look, they got their guy. They traded for him. They got their guy.
I'm expecting
some
pretty similar record, honestly.
To the Bucs. I think they're going to be a bit better than the Bucs just because I do like the potential of Bryce Young.
No, when I said it's a similar record, not to the Bucs, to last year.
Oh, okay, yeah. Similar record to last year, I can see that happening. I do like their potential a lot, plus I really like this defense. Very, very underrated defense. I think Carolina Panthers have one of the better defenses in the league.
Especially when you hear people talking about the best corners in the NFL, I never hear anybody talking about J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn is very underrated. You got a very good safety as well. You got a very good edge as well.
Brian Burns.
And I think this team is really good. They're just very underrated. Obviously, what sucks for Bryce Young is he's coming into a team that doesn't have many weapons on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a little interesting to see what he can do. But he does have some interesting pieces. You got Laviska Shenault. You got Terrence Marshall.
You got Adam Thielen, DJ Chark,
Adam Thielen, DJ
Jonathan
Chark.
Mingo.
You got a bunch of depth guys, right? And the thing is they're young, other than Thielen. So you get rid of that. If one of these guys can break out and have a breakout season, really establish that connection with Bryce Young, I think it's going to be very beneficial for him. And, the Carolina Panthers are a super, super interesting team this year.
Because especially if Bryce Young could put it together, even with those mediocre pieces on offense.
Plus, he has the potential, man.
Especially even they bring in Miles Sanders as well.
Yeah, the good run. Yeah.
That's I'm not expecting too much from Miles Sanders, but he is a solid veteran running back that's been in the league for a while, so he could give them something.
Plus, he can run a lot of QB options with Miles Sanders because I know Bryce Young's likes to run the football a bit. And if they mix that in with Sanders, I think that can be great. Look at what happened last year with the Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sanders and Hurts was just what a connection.
It's just they're expecting him to play like a 3-down back role, Miles Sanders. He has never really done that in his career, so it'll be interesting to see if he can do that with Carolina.
But they got Chuba Hubbard as the backup, so it's not the best, but it's not horrible.
Yeah. I think they should have kept hold of Deonta Foreman, honestly.
Yeah, Deonta Foreman is very underrated.
Because once McCaffrey left last year, he was very good for them, and I'm surprised that he went over to Chicago.
No, I agree. But that's enough Panthers Roster talk. Let's get into the schedule and break this thing down for you guys.
As much as I was hyping them up, I think they're going to lose week 1.
Week 1 loss?
Yeah, playing against Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on the road. I think this is going to be a very hard-fought game, but I think the home field advantage for Atlanta is just going to get them.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier with the Bucs, I have everyone splitting here, so
it's going to be 0-1 to start off for Carolina. Next up, they play New Orleans at home, and here's where I'll give them their first win of the year.
I agree. I'm also going to edge them a win here.
So I'll give them 1-1 on the year here in the first 2 weeks. Then they go up to Lumen Field in Seattle to face the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to give them a loss, unfortunately, here. I think Seattle is going to be a good roster this year and could compete for at the top of the NFC probably.
Yep.
So they're going to be 1-2 here, Carolina.
That's for sure. And then anyways, moving on, week 4, you go back home. Your host, your Minnesota Vikings. I'm pretty sure I give them a loss here.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a loss here as well. 1-3, not the best start, not one that they'd hope for, but it is what it is. Tough start to the year for them.
No, that's it. And then they move on. Week 5, they go stay in the North. Actually, they play against the NFC North once again. They go to Detroit.
I'm going to give them a win here.
I gave them a loss because I remember the Lions starting off like 0-3, and then I made them bounce back. So
for me, this is where I would give them a win because I know for the first 6 weeks I wasn't too nice on the Lions record. So I gave them a win here, 2-3 for Carolina. All right for them.
Now, here's the thing with the Panthers. I think they're going to upset one of these teams. And for me, I'm looking at the Seahawks, the Vikings, or the Dolphins. One of these three teams are going to be upset by the Panthers. And because I didn't do it earlier, I'm going to give it to them here against the Dolphins.
Right before their bye as well.
Right before their bye, they're going to be like 1-4 going into this. So they're going to have nothing to lose. They're going to play their hearts out in Hard Rock and absolutely shock the Dolphins.
That's definitely a possibility. But for me, I'm going to stick with Miami. I think Miami's going to beat them, have just enough for them, and it's going to be 2-4 going into the bye for Carolina.
Early bye, I think, helps this team just because they're a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. You're
not having the best of starts. You just calm him down. You tell him it's fine, don't worry about it. Bring him back to reality, and then bounce back week 8. You're hosting the Houston Texans.
The number 1 versus the number 2 pick.
I'm going to give them a win here. I don't think Houston's going to do that much. I hate to break it to people, but yeah, I don't think Houston's going to be too great this year.
This is a game I'd be actually very excited to watch. CJ Stroud versus Bryce.
I would be excited to watch this one too. 1-2 and quarterbacks going at it. Why not? See what the college guys can do.
Mm-hmm. But I'm going to agree with you and give Carolina the win here. 3-4 on the year.
Although I do like Houston's roster. We'll get into that and we'll get into their division later. But I have some interesting things to say about Houston.
I agree also with Houston. I think they're very similar to Carolina in the in the way that they have a lot of depth receivers, receivers that I like and I think have good potential, but none of them are like an alpha number 1 receiver. I like Tank Dell. I like Nico Collins a lot. I think John Mechie coming back, I don't know year 1 if it's going to be too great, but eventually I think he could become a good NFL receiver. So
love me some John Mechie. Love his story.
So a lot of Robert Woods as well, who
veteran guy.
Yeah, I don't know what he could offer right now, but he's done stuff in his career. So anyway, moving on to week 9, they play Indianapolis at home.
Yeah,
a tough game. What do you think?
So here's my thought, right? They're beating the Dolphins. They're heading into the bye. They beat the Texans. They're 1 game off 500. I think they're going to keep the momentum rolling here and beat the Colts.
I agree.
It's going to be a very interesting game. You're going to see Richardson versus Bryce Young. That's going to be the story for sure.
After playing the second quarterback of the class, he plays the third.
So, Bryce Young is going on a little stretch here, and I'm excited for these 2 games, honestly. I think this Colts game is going to be a fun one. But, like I said, I think Carolina's going to be riding a lot of momentum here. They're riding high. And I'm going to give them a win here.
I agree. And they're going to move on to 4-4, a 500 football team, which I think Carolina fans would be very happy with that. And now week 10, they come up another favorable matchup for them against the Chicago Bears. And I think they're going to keep it rolling post-bye and have 3 wins after the bye. 3 wins in a row and move on to 5-4.
I'm going to edge Panthers here, but I have a hard time giving them the win just because of the shortened week. They're playing Sunday to Thursday. It's a Thursday nighter.
That's a good point. Plus, it's on the road.
It's on the road. You're going down to Chicago. It's going to be a little cold, especially coming from you're in Carolina, right? You're hot. Yeah. But no, I'm gonna edge Panthers here, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears would win this one.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a very tough game to win. Chicago could definitely pull this one out, but I'm not too big of a fan of that Chicago team this year.
So. Especially that I don't remember what I gave Chicago at this point in the season, so I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, that was the first episode we had, so...
Anyways, moving on. Week 11.
And just on that game, that's a very weak Thursday night game.
Yeah, that is a weaker Thursday night.
Yeah, I think they're just giving it because they want to give Bryce Young the first overall pick a few primetime games.
No, for sure.
Then they go week 11 at home. They face one of the better teams in the NFC and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna give them a loss here. I don't know. I don't think they have enough to beat Dallas. I think they're good. Their feel-good factor post-bye comes to an end.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Dallas is going to be too much to handle for these guys, especially that roster. I really like the Dallas team as much as we hate the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
That Dallas roster is no joke. And there can be a little too much for this young Carolina team. Should be a fun matchup. See what Bryce Young can do against one of the better defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And fun matchup, but I think the Panthers lose this one.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, they go to Nissan Stadium to face the Tennessee Titans. And yet again, this is going to be a tough matchup.
They have a tough stretch here.
I think Carolina, a young team, probably gonna edge Tennessee here, and we're gonna move to 5 and 6. Sorry.
Hey, he played the 3 best quarterbacks. About to play the 4th best quarterback. Maybe it's Will Levis playing this game. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I think Ryan Tannehill is probably gonna have this. I think it's probably gonna be his last year.
I agree with you, but I think the Titans are gonna edge the Panthers here. They're gonna be a little too much to handle. That D-line is good in Tennessee. Very underrated. Very, very underrated. And Vrabel's a very good head coach. I think he's going to send a lot of pressure Bryce Young's way, and we'll see what they do. And the Titans are going to edge the Panthers here.
Yeah, this is starting to become a very rough stretch here. Week 13, they face Tampa Bay on the road at Raymond James Stadium. I think, like we said, probably going to split this series. So take a loss here and move to 5 and 7.
My eyes, everyone in this division is splitting. That's my honest take.
It's probably the safest way to go. So I agree.
Week 14th. You're going to the Saints. You have a nice little away stretch here, not very favorable. 2 division rivals in the stretch, but you play the Saints on the road.
Another game I'm gonna have to give them a loss.
I have to give them a loss here because they gave them a win earlier. So
5 and 8 on the year for Carolina. A promising start. Starting to come back down to reality now.
Yeah. Week 15, you're going back home finally, playing the Falcons. Here I'm going to edge Panthers. I think after this little 4-game losing streak, I think they're going to bounce back against Atlanta.
I agree, 6 and 8 for me now.
And take it moving on to 6 and 8 as well. Then you stay at home, you host the Green Bay Packers on Christmas Eve. A very interesting matchup here. Green Bay has a very good defense. And Panthers' offense can't compete with Green Bay's defense. I know their defense can compete with Green Bay's offense. It's just going to be whether is Bryce Young going to be able to do it. And I think this late in the season he's going to have it figured out. And I'm going to edge the Panthers here.
I agree.
The Packers.
I'm also going to edge the Panthers. I think these teams are in very similar spots.
Yeah.
Near elite. Well, Packers have an elite defense, and Carolina it's very near elite if it isn't elite yet. And with two young quarterbacks at the helm with not great pieces on offense. So very similar teams. I think it's going to be very close. And because they're at home, I think Carolina's going to
yeah.
So 7 and 8, right?
7 and 8 for me as well.
Yeah, 7 and 8 on the year for Carolina.
New Year's Eve. You go down in Duval, play the Jags. Sorry, Carolina, but your 500 dream is not going to happen. I'm going to edge the Jags here. I think this close to the playoffs, the Jags are going to just be in like win now mode and one of the better teams in the AFC, in my opinion. And take a loss here.
Yeah, I agree as well. I'm going to give them a loss here, moving them to 7 and 9. And then week 18, a game we went over earlier against Tampa. I think they're going to take a win here. And they will now move to 8 and 9. Is it good enough to win the division? It was last year. Will it be this year? We're going to see. They're definitely in the hunt for the division.
Yeah, I agree. 8 and 9, I think fans will take this. It's a slight improvement over last season, but considering the depth they have on offense, which is not there, I think they're going to like this record. 8 and 9, potentially draft a wide receiver, and we'll see what they do, man.
Next up, we're going to evaluate, go over the record for the New Orleans Saints, the team that probably is the favorite. I don't know what the betting odds are, but I'd imagine they're probably the favorites for this division as they are like the most veteran team.
I mean, what do you think about this Saints roster? They bring in a guy like Derek Carr, right, to control their quarterback play that was lacking.
I think it's a big-time upgrade on Andy Dalton, that's for sure.
I agree. I think Derek Carr is a huge upgrade and very, very underrated guy. He gets the job done. I don't think he's elite, but he can definitely throw the football very consistently. Chris Olave is going to eat. I think he has a connection with Michael Thomas. It's just, can he play?
My expectation for Michael Thomas is nothing. If he plays, he plays, but I can't see this guy racking up more than like 4 games in a row.
He's going to be on the IR most of the season.
The guy I'm excited for is Chris Olave because now he's going to have a proper starting quarterback. And I think he could definitely put up like
monster numbers.
1,400 yards. I'm expecting. I wouldn't be surprised, but that would be like...
That'd be pretty big.
Yeah, that would be on the high end, but... I think he'd be a very elite wide receiver, and you already know I'm very high on a guy like Rashid Shaheed, who at the end of last year was...
Your boy.
one of Andy Dalton's favorite targets and was very good for them. So I'm expecting big things there. And plus on defense, they just re-signed Cam Jordan to a new contract.
Yep.
He's getting up there in age, but he's still a very good player. And New Orleans is always known for having a good defense.
Alvin Kamara got his legal stuff figured out. He's only suspended a few games.
Which I don't think is going to be much of a impact on him. He wasn't as great last year, and plus they bring in a Jamal Williams. They still got Kendrick Miller, who they brought in as well in the draft. So I think they have enough depth there to...
But maybe it rejuvenates his career. I mean, look at what Derek Carr did with Josh Jacobs last year. Maybe Alvin Kamara gets a similar role, starts rushing the football a lot more. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to worry about the legal stuff as much, so he only focuses on football. And hey, I don't know. I'm honestly like Alvin Kamara this year in fantasy drafts. I'm liking a lot.
Ever since the suspension, he's shot up the boards. Like he's going ahead of J.K. Dobbins and Dameon Pierce, which I think I'm more comfortable taking Dameon Pierce, just because. Like, we saw how good he was in his rookie year. Plus, there's always he could go up in production. Yeah, so
that's true.
Kamara, as a guy who picked Kamara last year in second round of drafts, I was very disappointed. He was not that good last year.
Yeah, that hurts. Taking that early hurts.
Mm-hmm. So, we're going to go over the Saints' schedule. Week 1, they play the Tennessee Titans at home. This is...
Titans are an interesting roster this year, man. I really don't know because they're always competitive. That's the thing.
That's the thing. Mike Vrabel's always gonna have them ready to go. So
I don't know. I'm liking the Saints here week 1.
Me too. I'm gonna lean the Saints, even though because it is at home as well. So
just because of the home field advantage and it's week 1, I like the Saints roster. I think Derek Carr's gonna have a point to prove, and he's gonna come in here and just beat out the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Next up, the Carolina Panthers on the road, a game we went over. I think we both gave them a loss here.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a loss here.
Splitting with Carolina, most probably. Then week 3, they go to Green Bay at Lambeau. I'm going to give them a loss here, I think. Green Bay's defense is going to be too much for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Green Bay's defense is going to be a little too much to handle. Should be an interesting matchup, see how good the Saints offense really is. Mm-hmm. But, I give them a loss here.
And next up, they face Tampa.
At home.
Yeah, at home. I gave New Orleans... I said they were going to sweep Tampa, so this is going to be a win for them, and they're going to move to 500, 2-2 record.
I'm splitting them with everyone, so they win here against Tampa because they're at home. Week 5, you go on the road, Gillette. You play the Pats. I do not like the Pats this year. I think they're going to be one of the bottom feeders of the league. And they don't have pieces on offense that can really hold up with the Saints, and giving the Saints the win here.
On New England, I was expecting big things from Tyquan Thornton this year, but apparently in camp he hasn't he's failed to impress. So that's.
But that can also be just Bill being a little stubborn. You know what I mean?
And plus, if they bring in another running back, with I heard that they're looking to bring in Zeke, so I don't think that's gonna do much, but.
I'll just keep Ramondre. He's the only thing you have going for you on that offense.
That's what I was going to say, especially for fantasy-wise.
He's the only thing you have.
This is a guy who I'm very... I really want to take, so please don't screw it up with Bill Belichick always running his million running backs. Please don't do it. Anyway, what did you say here? You said they were going to win?
I gave the Saints a win here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very tough game. I think not much offense in this game. I think it's going to be a very defensive
game.
Very
gritty affair.
Mm-hmm. But I'll edge...
New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. I was about to say Seattle there. Yeah, New Orleans, 3-2.
Gotcha. Then staying on the road, you go down to Houston. I don't think there's much to say about this Houston team. The uncertainty is just going to be a little too much for them. I think the Saints are going to be a little too much to handle for Houston. And I'm going to edge Saints here. I'm
going to go for a surprise here. I think Houston's gonna win this game. D'Amico Ryan's going to have his team ready on defense. CJ Stroud's going to be slugging the rock. And... I think Houston's going to get a surprise win here. I split out at home as well. So 3-3 on the year for New Orleans.
Week 7, you're going back home, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. The shortened week, you only got 4 days rest. Prime timer.
Game. I'm going to give them a win here.
I'm actually going to give them a loss just because I gave them a win against Houston. They're coming on a little 3-game win streak. I think this short week is going to really be too much for them, and give the Jags the win here. Moving them to 4-3 on the year.
For me, I think coming off a rough lost to Houston, a game they're going to be like disappointed with that. I think Jacksonville has to take some losses somewhere. We're not going to go undefeated. We're giving them a lot of wins. So I think this is a tough spot for them on the road in the Caesar Superdome. So I'll give New Orleans the win here. Next up, they play the Indianapolis Colts on the road at Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm going to give them a win here as well. I think if this was later on in the year and Anthony Richardson was like had a few more games under his belt, I would probably give Indy the win. Sorry, but since it's early on in the year, I'll give New Orleans the win, and they're going to be 5-3 for me.
Actually, going to edge Colts here. I think Indy's going to be a very interesting team. I think this is going to be a little surprise game for the Saints. Coming off a loss, they're going to be probably top of the division still at 4-3. Going into Lucas Oil, they're going to think they got this easy dubs because the Colts, I don't think, are going to be too great at this point in the season. So underestimate the Colts, which you shouldn't do because they got a very good run game that can run down your throats. And they're going to prove it here. Week 8, I'm giving them a loss against the Colts.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Now, Week 9, they face at home the Chicago Bears. I think they'll easily deal with the Bears, and they'll be 6-3.
I agree. I don't think the Bears are going to have that much going for them, and Saints win here. Anyways, moving on.
Week 10 against the Vikings. I'm going to give them a loss here. 6-4 on the year.
I agree. I'm also going to give them a loss here. They're playing in Minnesota, so give them a loss before the bye. Late-ish bye. Week 11 bye for this team is going to be very interesting because I got them sitting at 5-5. So they'll have a chance at potentially being in a position where they're first in the division. And if you're sitting at 5-5 at the bye, Coach riles you up for this last stretch, which is very, very favorable.
Yeah. For me, this Minnesota game is going to be very big for them, I think, especially going into the bye. On my record, at least, they were 6-3 going into this game. So if you can go into the bye 7-3,
yeah, that's big.
You really take a stranglehold on this division and basically win the division at this point. Because if you're 7-3 going into a bye in this division, you should be able to win it. Anyway, at 6-4, it's kind of on the fence now. Now they're going to go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium on the road in Atlanta. I think they take their second loss in a row here and move to 6-5.
I agree. I'm also going to give them a loss here, moving them to 5-6 on the year. Then they go back home to host the Detroit Lions.
Just before we go on to that Lions game, like I was saying with that Minnesota game, you see how important it is. How now for me they're 6-5. They could have easily been 7-3, and how much stuff changes. So I think it's gonna be a big game for them. Anyway, next up, Week 13 against Detroit at home.
At home, here I'm actually gonna edge Saints. Going to be a little surprising game for the Lions. I think the Lions are going to be a good team this year. Mm-hmm. It's just the Saints are going to want to bounce back. First time in the season being sub 500. So I see them being a 6-6 football team after this week.
I agree. I think New Orleans is going to win this game and move to 7-5 for me. Next up, they face Carolina at home. Another game I think they're going to win. 8-5 on the year, and I think this is really where they start to wrap up this division.
I got them sitting at 7-6 after this Carolina game. Then they stay at home, host the New York Giants. I like this Giants team more than you do. I'm going to give them a loss against New York. I think New York's going to also be trying to make a push for the playoffs, and they're going to need this game a little bit more than the Saints.
Yeah, we did go over this game last week. I don't remember. And I think I probably gave the Saints the win here, but I really want to give the Giants the win right now.
I'm edging Giants here. Even if I fucked up last week, that's my fault, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go Giants. So 8-6 on the year for New Orleans. Giants take them on the road.
You're shortened week. You're going to SoFi.
On the Thursday night game.
Is a home game for the Saints. I'm sorry. Whoever plays in SoFi. Most of your fans are there.
Especially how bad LA is going to be this year. That's a terrible Thursday night gets no respect in the NFL, man.
It really doesn't. But I'm going to edge Saints here. I think the Saints are going to be a little too much down for this Rams team. I don't like the Rams this year.
I agree. I think Saints are going to win here. I'm not expecting much from LA this year.
That's it. Then week 17, you're going on the road back down in Tampa. New Year's Eve game. Sunday afternoon, I said they're going to split with everyone, so I'm going to give them a loss here.
I said they were going to sweep Tampa, so I'm going to give them a win here, and they're going to be a 10-win team. So 10-6 for them.
I got them sitting at 8-8, and then the Falcons at home. Like I said, they're splitting with everyone, so I see them winning this game against Atlanta, and for me, that brings them to 9-8.
For me, I think they're gonna lose this game against Atlanta because they're gonna have the division wrapped up by then. And I think Atlanta is gonna play them hard, especially with all the young guys. So 10-7 for me on the year.
Yeah.
They get swept by Atlanta, surprisingly.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming.
10-7 on the year for New Orleans, which should definitely be good enough for them to win the division.
I don't know. We'll see this Atlanta roster, the schedule here. But yeah, I got them sitting at 9-8. Should be interesting. This is the best team I have ranked so far. So we'll see.
Yeah, Atlanta, they're gonna have to do a lot here if they're gonna want to win this division.
But yeah, anyways, guys, we went over the Falcons earlier on in the week, so
go check that video out
go
after
check it
you're
out.
done watching this video.
Exactly. Don't forget, we appreciate all the support, guys. You guys have been amazing lately, honestly.
Especially on these division videos, you guys have been showing a lot of support on them, so we really appreciate that.
Helps us out a lot, trust us,
Mhm.
and
if you haven't subscribed, press the button, subscribe.
subscribe, hit the bell so you can stay tuned and hear all our notifications whenever we go live or post the video. And anyways, hope you guys enjoy the rest of this video. So let's get right into it. The Falcons division, Falcons schedule. Sorry, my mistake.
Week 1, they play the Carolina Panthers at home. Win over this win for me for Atlanta.
I agree. I think Falcons as well are going to split with everyone. So
Next up, they play Green Bay at home. I think they're gonna start off very well and start off 2-0. Surprisingly,
I think they're going to go 1-1 here. I think this Green Bay defense is going to be a little too much to handle for this young Falcons offense. But I would also not be surprised if the Falcons were to win this game. Like, this is a really interesting game this early on in the season. How legit is this offense? Get tested very, very early.
Oh, that is a good point. Next up in week 3, they play the Detroit Lions on the road. I'm going to give them their first loss of the year here. I think this Lions team is going to be a very formidable roster, and they should be giving the Falcons problems and should beat them here.
I'm also edging Lions here. Then, anyways, week 4, you move over to Europe.
To Wembley Stadium.
To Wembley, you
London.
play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have been in Europe for the last
That's what
4
I was gonna
years.
say. Why do the Jags always play in
I don't know.
at Wembley? They always play the London.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
I guess England fans really like the Jags. But yeah, England game here. You got 9:30 a.m. Gonna be an interesting matchup.
I'm giving them a loss.
I'm actually gonna edge the Falcons here just because the Jags have not lost this division once. So I can see this being the trap.
For me, they lost against the Saints, so I'm gonna give them.
I'm gonna give them a loss here because I don't see the Jags going undefeated.
So they both have them at 2-2 now.
We had them at 2-2 on the year, and moving on week 5, you stay technically at home. You go back, you fly back from Wembley. You're playing Houston
At home. I think.
at home. I think this roster's gonna be a little too much for Houston, and I'm gonna edge the Falcons here.
I agree. 3-2 on the year for the Falcons, and they're definitely looking like they could make the playoffs right now.
Yep, that's for sure. And
Week 6, they play the Commanders.
keeping that momentum going for me, I think this little home stretch is gonna be good for them. Obviously, they played one in Wembley, but technically they were home. And Commanders.
I'm gonna give them a loss here. I really like this Commanders roster, like we went over last week. I think the Commanders are going to be too much for them, especially that defensive line going up against a rookie quarterback. Well, he's not really but he's technically a rookie quarterback.
It's technically his first full season. We'll say that, yeah. No, but I think the Falcons are going to actually edge this one. And I see them beating the Commanders.
Could happen. Then week 7, they go on the road to Tampa. I'm giving them a loss here.
Yeah, same for me as well. I think they're going
3-4.
to lose. But week 8, you're playing the Titans. The Titans I have beating everyone in this division except the Falcons.
For me, I think I said New Orleans were going to beat them, so I'm going to give them a win against... Well, I'm going to give the Titans a win, so a loss for Atlanta on the road, especially at Nissan Stadium as well.
I'm giving
Tough football team.
Atlanta the win here against the Titans.
I'm gonna...
I think they're going to bounce back from that division loss against the Bucs, and they're going to play the Titans hard. It's going to be a very, very fun game. Bijan's going to absolutely dominate, show Derrick Henry that he's his prodigy. And the Falcons are going to take this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Atlanta's ready yet to beat a team like Tennessee. I think Tennessee is just a poised veteran team, and especially at home, I expect them to beat them.
I don't hate that. That's, I can see it happening.
Next up against Minnesota, week 9. I'm going to give them a win here. I think it's going to be a tough game for Minnesota, especially on the road in the Dome. I'm going to give the Falcons the win here, and they're going to move to 4-5.
I'm going to give them a loss here, moving them to 5-4 on
Of course you're going to give them a loss.
It's the Vikings. Yeah, anyways, moving on, week 10. Playing on the road, you're going down to Arizona.
State Farm Stadium.
I don't think the Cardinals are going to be a good team this year. We mentioned this when we went over the division. And,
5-5 for me. Win.
I got them sitting at 6-4 going into the bye. Very good for this Falcons team.
They're definitely in contention for you to win this. Even for me, 5-5, you're still in contention in week 11 to win the division.
Coming off the bye, week 12, you stay at home and you host the Saints. Obviously, I said they're going to split with everyone.
I said they were going to sweep them, so this is a win for me. They moved to 6-5.
I got the Falcons sitting at 7-4.
7. Wait, so you think they're going to win this game?
I think they're going to win this game.
True, because they're at home. Next up, they play a very tough game in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium against the New York Jets. I think they're going to lose this game, unfortunately. I think their good run here, where they win 3 games in a row, comes to an end. And, I think they lose to the Jets.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Jets is going to be a little too much. I do see the Jets making a run for the playoffs, so they're going to have to win games like this. And it's going to be a little too much to handle later on. This Jets team is very, very good. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers can do, but I think they take a loss here. Anyways, moving on. Week 14, you host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I have them edging the Bucs. Moving on to 8-5 on the year.
I agree. 7-6 on the year for me.
Then week 15, you go down to Carolina. Like I said earlier, splitting with everyone, so I have them taking a loss.
I agree as well.
Carolina.
I think they're going to lose here, and they're going to be a 500 team, 7-7 on the year. And it's getting really close between them and the Saints. They got 3 games left. Can they do it? Can they win this division?
So here's the thing, right?
For you, they're have 8 wins?
They're at 8-6 right now on the year.
And you gave New Orleans 9 wins, so this is getting down to the wire.
Here's the thing, right? Now I'm looking at this last stretch. The Falcons are going to be really close to clinching. They're going to be like probably 2 wins off clinching. They're going to host the Colts. You're coming off a loss against Carolina. I think they're going to bounce back and beat the Colts. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. But I do like the Falcons here against Indy.
Okay, last week I said they were going to lose. You know what? I think they're going to bounce back at home against Indianapolis and take a win here. And this is interesting how this is going to play out the rest of the year.
Sorry about that, everyone. A little technical difficulties on our end. But anyways, let's get right back into it. I had the Falcons sitting at a big 9-6 heading into week 17 against the Bears.
I got them at 8-7 here. And I think they're going to beat the Bears, edge them out.
I think so too.
I think the Bears are going to be a terrible team at this point in the season, and they're going to be out of it. Falcons looking to battle for that division from the Saints, and I think they're going to take a win here and move to 9-7 and giving them a legit possibility in week 18 to win this division.
I got them sitting at 10-6 and clinching at this point.
This is very surprising from what we thought earlier in the video. So,
and anyways, I'll just get this out of the way. Week 18, I had them splitting with the Saints, so they're going to take a loss here, giving them final record of 10-7.
For me here, week 18, here's a situation. The Falcons are going to be 9-7. If they win this game, they're 10-7, same as the Saints. And they're gonna have. If they win this game, they're gonna sweep the Saints. So this would clinch them the division. This would be one of the best games of Week 18 right here. And I think the Atlanta Falcons are gonna do it with rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder. They're gonna clinch the division.
Edge the Saints, baby.
And
clinch the division.
Clinch the division and probably face the Dallas Cowboys in the first round of playoffs. So that's the reward. But yeah, so we're gonna go over our division here. What we have. I have the Atlanta Falcons winning the division at 10-7 here, just edging out the Saints. The number 2, like I said, the Saints at 10-7 as well, just missing out. And the Panthers at 8-9, and one of the worst teams in the NFL at 4-13, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, this is going to be an interesting division. I got the Falcons sitting at 10-7, Saints in second at 9-8, Panthers in third at 8-9, and the Bucs sitting dead last at 6-11. this was honestly a really interesting division.
A lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot of negative records.
That's true. Very fun division to go over, too. I had a lot of fun this day, especially the Falcons. But yeah, man, I told you, their schedule was favorable.
Both of them and the Saints, I think, could have very surprising years this year.
No, I agree. It should be interesting to watch. Obviously, football's around the corner. It's coming, guys. It's coming.
Everyone was shitting on that 8th overall pick taking Bijan. Well, it's getting them a win in it's getting them a division win.
Imagine. So. It leads the league in rushing yards. Imagine that.
It's a possibility.
No, anyways, that would wrap up our NFC South, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, stay tuned for our next few videos coming up. Just letting you all know, we're going to be out of town for 2 weeks. So we'll have stuff lined up for you guys. Don't worry about that. Just if you see us dressed in the same clothes.
We do change.
It's just, yeah. Anyways.
This also wraps up our NFC in general. So
that's true. We got our NFC done. So now we're going to move on to the AFC. Probably going to go over the Jags and Jets. Or something. We'll figure it out, guys. You'll stay tuned. You'll see it. And hope you guys enjoyed.
We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you.
Bye, guys.